Hey, Algebra 2. Today we're going to look at lesson 47, which we have two topics today in this lesson. One is dealing with rate unit conversions, and the second topic is we're going to do a little more with those fractional exponents and converting and simplifying with those. So first we're going to talk about this rate unit conversions. Now you need to understand this idea of rate. What we'll be looking at is stuff like miles per hour, feet per second, inches per minute, things like that, and we're going to convert from one rate to another. So you see an example here, the first one, we'll label this number 1. It says use unit multipliers to convert 42 inches per second to feet per mile. Or, I'm sorry, miles per hour. So to start with these problems, we're going to take this 42 inches per second and we're going to write that as a fraction. Now it starts off with 42 inches. Now this idea of per, you need to think fractions. So it's inches per second. So we're going to write that as fractions. Whatever the per something, that goes down to the bottom. Okay? So we start with 42 inches over seconds. Now, to convert this, we're going to start by focusing just on one of the units. So we could start with inches and converting those into miles, or we could start with the seconds and convert those into hours. So we're just going to focus on one unit at a time, or one unit of measure at a time. So what I would do is start with the inches. So kind of ignore those seconds down there on the bottom. And how would I go about converting inches to miles? Well, remember your steps. We want to go from inches. We can't jump straight to miles because we don't know how many inches there are in a mile, but we can go inches to feet and then feet to miles. So, unit conversions, I have inches. I need them to cancel so they go on the bottom. I'm turning them into feet. What's the connection with feet and inches? Well, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. Next, I have feet. I want them to change to miles, so feet need to go opposite. They cancel and turn into miles. And you should remember 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. All right, if I were to stop right here and multiply it across, my units cancel and I'm left with inches cancel, feet cancel, and right now I have miles per second. Well, that's not quite what I want. I have the miles part, but I want miles per hour. So now I need to convert these seconds into hours. Now you got to be careful. These seconds starting off are on the bottom. To cancel them, I need to put them on top. And I want to go to first minutes. So minutes go to the bottom. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So right now the seconds will cancel. And if I stop right now, I have miles per minute. I need to go one more step, and this time I want minutes to cancel, and I want to finish with hours. So 60 minutes in 1 hour. So minutes cancel, and my final units on this, I have miles on top over hours. That is miles per hour. So just like whenever we did these unit conversions earlier, we're going to multiply all this together, and I start with 42. Multiplying straight across, I have times 1 times 1. I don't really need the ones, but I have 42 times 60 times another 60. All of that is on top. Over, on the bottom, I have 12 times 5,280 times 1 times 1. And my final units were miles per hour. That's as far as we need to go. We could multiply this out, get a decimal, but we don't really need to. If you can show me that much, that should be good enough. Okay? Let's try another one. I'm going to switch colors to blue. So this one says convert 207 miles per hour to feet per second. So start off the same way. 207. We have miles per hour. So miles are on top. and I have hours on bottom. Really, this is 207 miles per 1 hour. And I want to go to feet per second. That's my goal. So, again, focus on one unit of measure first. Let's start with the miles. I want miles to cancel, so they go on the bottom, and I'm going to feet. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So canceling right now, miles cancel, I have feet. Feet is my goal. I wanted to get to feet per second. So now I need to convert hours to seconds. Hours again are starting on the bottom. So to cancel them, I put hours on top, and I need to go to minutes. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. I need one more step. I need minutes to cancel and go to seconds. 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. All right, units cancel, miles cancel, I have feet. Hours cancel, minutes cancel, I have seconds on the bottom. Feet over seconds is feet per second. That's what I want. So now I put it all together. 207 times 5,280 on top times 1. Again, I don't need the ones. Over on the bottom, I have 1 times 1. Don't need those, but I have 60 times 60. And my final units, make sure you put these on there, are feet per second. There's my final answer. Okay, so that is rate unit conversions. Second topic in this lesson is we're going to do a little more with these fractional exponents. So this first example, number 1 here, this is what we did in lesson 46. We're going to convert things to have fractional exponents, and then we're going to put as much of this together that we can. So starting with this furthest inside, cube root of 2. I'm going to write that with a fractional exponent. The base number is 2, and the exponent, remember, the numerator is the power, denominator is the root. So on this 2 that's under the cube root, the power on that 2 is a 1. So the numerator is 1, and the denominator is the root that it is under. It is under a cube root. So the root is 3, or the denominator is 3. Now this cube root of 2 is multiplied to another 2. Okay? Now all of this stuff is under the big square root. So I didn't put a fraction exponent on this 2 because right now I'm just focused on what's under the big square root, and that exponent is a 1. These 2's I'm going to put together first before I deal with that power, or the big square root on the outside. The big square root on the outside, I am going to convert that to a fraction exponent though. A square root, the root is 2, so that tells me the denominator of that root is 2. And the power is going to be a 1. All right, so I take whatever I have inside. I'm going to put those together. To put those together, remember, we're going to add those exponents. 1 plus 1/3. So the base number is 2. 1 plus 1/3, that's 1 1/3 or 4/3. That is still to the power of 1/2. Now I have a power to a power. Power to a power, remember, multiply those exponents. The base number is still 2. And I multiply 4 over 3 times 1 over 2. That would be 4 over 6, which reduces to 2 over 3. Now notice, all the way across, this base number does not change. It stays at 2, all the way across. Even back here when we're multiplying these 2's together, it doesn't magically become 4. By adding those exponents, we're saying that base number is going to stay at 2. It doesn't turn into a 4. Okay? So there's my final answer. Now, looking down here at these 2 examples I have in this on the screen here, you should notice something a little bit different. On the example I just did, both numbers inside were, the base number was a 2. Well, down here, I have a 4 and I have a 64. I need those to end up being the same number, same base number. So what we're going to do is this 64, I'm going to try to rewrite that number to have the same base number as that 4 inside. under the square root. So can I rewrite 64 as 4 to some power? Well, think about the powers of 4. You should realize or figure out that 4 to the third power is equal to 64. So I'm going to change this problem here to be the big cube root. I'm changing 64 to be 4 to the third power times the square root of 4. Now it looks very similar to stuff that we did in lesson 46, and just like the example above. So follow the same little steps that I just did in that first example. This 4 underneath the square root of 4, I'm going to write that with a fraction exponent. So the power on this little 4 is a 1. So that's the numerator. It is under a square root, so the denominator is 2. That is times that 4 to the third. Those guys are under a cube root, so they're inside big brackets. And converting cube root to an exponent, that is to the power of 1/3. All right, next step, we're going to take these 4s inside, and we're going to put them together by adding the exponents. 3 plus 1/2 gives me 4 to the power of 3 plus 1/2 would be 3.5, or 7 halves. Again, that base number stays 4, and then that is to the power of 1/3 still, that outside power. Now we're down to a power. We multiply those exponents. My base number is still 4. When I multiply those exponents, that gives me 7/6. Try to reduce that. It does not reduce, so that is my final answer. Okay, one more question here, and then we'll be done. Same process. I need these two base numbers to be the same. So start with the smaller one, 3. Can I rewrite 9 as 3 to some power? Well, 9 is equivalent to 3 to the second power, and then I'll leave the rest of this stuff there. So I have the 7th root of 3 squared times the square root of 3. So, same process, this square root of 3 inside, make that a fraction exponent. That's 3 to the power, its numerator is 1, denominator is 2. So 3 to the power of 1/2 times this 3 squared, and all of that is under a 7th root. 7th root. Whatever the root is, that's the denominator, and since we're not dealing with the inside stuff, the numerator is just going to be a 1. All right, same routine. We're going to put these 3's together by adding the exponents. 2 plus 1/2 is 2.5, or 5 halves. That is still inside the brackets to the power of 1/7. And final step, power to a power. We multiply these together. I have base number is 3, and 5/2 times 1/7 is 5/14. There's my simplified answer. Okay, that's lesson 47, rate unit conversions, and more on fractional exponents, simplifying, getting things down to the same base number first. So we got to do a little switching on that, and then simplify just like we did in lesson 46. Okay, good luck.